Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Set to go down tomorrow in Germany, Sarah Bormann will be returning to action in a 10-rounder in the women's minimum weight division, where she will be facing veteran journeywoman Tamara Demarco of Argentina. Both fighters are on the bounce. Both fighters are on the rebound, having lost their last fights. Tamara Demarco is coming off a points decision loss to Leonela Paula Judica, where Sarah's coming off a points decision loss to Jessica Neri Plata. Sport a professional record of 17 wins with 1 loss, no draws, 7 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 18 professional bouts. Sarah moved up in weight for her last fight. She moved up to light flyweight, and things didn't work out. It seems she's moved back down, and she will be campaigning as a minimum weight moving forward, where she's been campaigning for the most part most of her career, save her last fight.
She moved up, now she's moved back down.
She will be facing Tamara Demarco, sports a professional record of 11 wins with 6 losses, no draws, no recorded knockouts, having been knocked out 2 times in 17 professional bouts. Tamara is 1 year older than Sarah and several inches shorter. There's a noticeable discrepancy in size between them. Sarah Bormann is a tall fighter and a long fighter for minimum weight.
She's got size,
though she doesn't really use it. Sarah Bormann is best described as a pressure fighter, a combination puncher that likes to give up a height, mid-range to inside, crowd the opponent, crowd the pocket, and throw punches and bunches. And usually that works for her. Usually that's enough to secure her the W. It just backfired in her last fight because Jessica Neri Plata, the unified light flyweight champion, is not the kind of fighter you want to stand directly in front of. She's heavy-handed and she's a counterpuncher. She'll make you pay for it if you stay there too long. That's what happened in Sarah's last fight.
Normally it works for her. Her come-forward aggression, her work rate, very busy within a round. But with Jessica, it didn't work out. And I knew it wouldn't.
I went with Jessica to win that fight. I'm going with Sarah to win this one because Sarah Bormann is still one of the better and more solid fighters anywhere at or around minimum weight. I think she stands a legitimate chance of becoming a champion.
What?
Currently, the undisputed champion in the women's minimum weight division is East LA Zone Senicia Estrada. But Senicia Estrada is all but done at minimum weight, and she's not going to be running it back with Yokasta Valle. They're not going to have a rematch, so in all likelihood, Senicia is going to move up, and she's going to vacate all 4 alphabet titles, at which point Yokasta Valle can pick one up, Sarah Bormann can pick one up, maybe Germany's own Tina Ruprecht decides she doesn't want to stay at atom weight. She decides she wants to move up as well. There are fights to be made at minimum weight in the coming year.
Sarah's got to win tomorrow.
I think she will, because like I said, most girls can't weather the storm, handle the pressure that Sarah Bormann brings. Now, Jessica Neri Plata, she's not most fighters. She's not most girls. She's got power. She's got counters.
Chino.
Most girls can't handle the pressure that Sarah Bormann brings. So I trust her to outwork Tamara Demarco tomorrow. If she wins, she may line herself up to fight for a newly vacated title. WBC, WBA, WBO, IBF, whichever one.
If she does.
They can see about making a domestic battle, a domestic clash between Sarah Bormann and tiny Tina Ruprecht, who used to reign as this division's WBC champion, lost the title to Senicia Estrada, then moved down in weight and became a WBC champion down there. There's always a chance that she might move back up, to minimum weight. And maybe if she does, she can take on Sarah Bormann in a year's time. Just a possibility, just an idea. Another idea is a Sarah Bormann versus Yokasta Valle fight. Yokasta Valle, who used to reign as a unified champion up until recently.
She lost her belts to Senicia Estrada, but like I said, Senicia's not staying at this weight. She's going to move up and she's going to drop all those belts. They can pick them back up.
The landscape is set to change in the women's minimum weight division, and I think that Sarah Bormann can be a big part of that picture. But first, she has to win tomorrow. She has to get herself back in the winner's bracket. I think she can. Look for this tomorrow afternoon if you're here in America on the DAZN platform.
Bormann versus Demarco. Crossroads fight.
You know, look at this guy that's fighting out of his country, the Japanese dude. What's his name? Is he Japanese?
Inoue
He's
is
not.
fighting this weekend.
He's knocking everybody out. Yeah, better if he come in this country and get tested. His knockout ratio stop.
Somebody should have told Kenny. Inoue's already fought in America 3 times, and all 3 times he knocked the guy out.
This again.
That's why Floyd said, "Come over here."
Exactly.
But who gives a salient shit what Floyd Mayweather has to say?
Exactly. But now, you got favoritism here in the country, though, because if you ain't with the team that got control, that got the scientists on their side, you still can't win.
That is Gervonta Davis's assistant coach, Kenny Ellis, shading Naoya Inoue and insinuating that he's a dirty fighter, that if he were based out of America instead of Japan, he bets that his knockouts would stop, that he wouldn't be the monster that he has been so far, but he has been that monster, that same monster on the road here in America 3 times, in the UK once.
As if the protocols here in America are more stringent when it comes to anti-doping.
As if the penalties here in America are harsher. I remember when Oscar Valdez tested positive for a banned substance ahead of the Conceição fight, they let the fight go through. They let the fight go on, in spite of him testing positive, and he wasn't stripped of his title either.
Even though what he tested positive for was on VADA's banned list, and VADA works with the WBC, they didn't strip him. They didn't do nothing.
Last year, when Alicia Baumgartner tested positive for a banned substance after the Christina Linardatu rematch, the Michigan Unarmed Combat Commission didn't do a goddamn thing. I mean, they literally didn't do anything.
That entire situation sat in limbo for months.
They never issued Alicia a suspension. They never overturned the decision in the contest. They literally did nothing.
That was here in America.
What's going on now? Ryan Garcia tested positive for not 1, but 2 banned substances, 2 steroids, and how are the Americans treating the situation? I'll tell you how. They're making excuses for him. So what's all of this from Coach Kenny Ellis about how he knew he needs to come here? He needs to come to America.
Why? Because there's such sticklers for the rules in America?
The commission in Japan is actually a lot more strict, a lot more stringent. I remember when Luis Neri popped hot after the Yamanaka rematch. You know what they did?
What?
They banned him. They banned him from boxing on Japanese soil for years. Not a year, not a couple of months.
Like in America.
You know how it is in America. You pop hot for a banned substance in America, they'll suspend you for a year, reduce it down to 6 months so long as you cooperate with an anti-doping protocol, and you're back before you know it. That's not how it is in Japan.
When Neri popped hot in Japan, they responded by giving him a lifetime ban.
How is it a lifetime ban if he's supposed to be boxing there on Monday?
Because they only lifted the ban to see Inoue kick his ass.
It's the only reason they lifted the ban. But that ban stood in place, not for a couple of months, not for a year. That ban stood in place for years, which is more than the Americans would have did in that same situation. So once again, what the fuck is Kenny Ellis talking about?
This isn't about steroids or banned substances.
A Twitter user that goes by the name It's Me No To said, "Nobody in America knows who Inoue is, let alone would they ever put him on pay-per-view. So stop it."
All the more reason for him to stay in Japan.
Because it's true. Where Americans don't really watch bantamweights and super bantamweights, the Japanese fight fans, they do. And where they wouldn't put Inoue on pay-per-view here in America, over there in Japan, he's about to fill a stadium. An entire fucking stadium.
So what does he need to come to America for?
A Twitter user that goes by the name Tip Bayless says, "Ain't no one talking about Inoue. Perhaps not in America, but in Japan he's all the rage. In Japan he's on billboards, and when he has a fight, it gets a hell of a lot more promotion than your average fight here in America. So maybe in America no one is talking about him, but in Japan he's a megastar, which begs the question, then why should he leave that to come here?"
He shouldn't.
We've been all through this. The preeminent market for a bantamweight or a super bantamweight is over there in Japan, not in America. There's a vibrant, thriving audience for that division and those fighters that fight within it over there in Japan, whereas Americans, characteristically, they don't watch those weights. So why on earth would Inoue leave Japan where he's making millions and millions of dollars to come here? Why?
Because of something Floyd said? Who the fuck is Floyd?
Maybe he's like a deity to some of you guys, some of you fucking clowns.
Maybe his word is gospel to you.
But it isn't to everybody else. Another Twitter user that goes by the name Kev says, nobody talks about Inoue doping because it's legal in Japan.
No, it isn't. Doping is why Luis Neri couldn't box there for a number of years.
That's why the motherfucker doesn't come over here.
He's already been here 3 times. What do you want?
Plus, he's getting paid turkey money over there.
Turkey Al Sheikh up until this point has had absolutely nothing to do with the career of Naoya Inoue. He's promoted by Ahashi Promotions and fights on the Amazon platform.
And when he's not boxing on the Amazon platform, he's boxing on the Limino platform, one that most Americans are not familiar with. Why are Americans so fucking ignorant?
Stupid.
Is there too much fluoride in the water or something? Are they spiking a punch? What is going on with these jackass Americans and their half-ass observations? What is it?
This is not about banned substances.
What it's really about is a bunch of insecure individuals who cannot handle the idea that a fighter can be a megastar without their patronage, their support. This is about Americans, some of them, a select few, who look down on all things foreign and foreigners and wrestle with the idea that Inoue could be doing as well as he's doing outside of America. We saw them do the same thing to Anthony Joshua for years.
They're just now starting to realize that this whole time he's been making more money than Wilder.
But alas, we've been all through that too. What it really is, when a coach, Kenny Ellis, goes as far as accusing Naoya Inoue of doping,
You just want to discredit this fighter because you can't control him, you can't criticize his resume and what he's done so far. He's already more accomplished than your fighter.
and made more history than your fighter, perhaps more history than your fighter ever will. You want to attack that legacy. You want to attack those accolades by discrediting him and calling him a drug cheat.
You know that your fighter's not the kind of fighter that's going to shoot for undisputed. Your fighter probably won't be a 4-division champion, where he already is, and he's been undisputed 2 times.
Piece of shit and a fucking coward like Gervonta is never gonna make that kind of history. He's not that kind of guy. You know that.
You hear about this Inoue guy and how he's doing all that and more while being a cash cow.
Selling out arenas, selling out stadiums.
He doesn't use his celebrity to skip out on fights the way you guys do. You fucking coward.
He uses his celebrity and his drawing power to make fights.
Not run from them like you pussies.
Cowards. Inoue doesn't give you anything to complain about. So the only way you can discredit him and attack him is to accuse him of being a drug cheat because he doesn't fight in America. But why the fuck would he fight in America?
Americans don't watch bantamweights and super bantamweights. The Japanese do.
Listen, we've been all through this. It's not actually about being suspicious of Inoue, whether or not he's doping. It's not even that. It's that this guy gives you so little to criticize and so little to complain about that that's all they can come up with.
That's why all of these talking heads are regurgitating the same thing they heard Floyd say.
But here's the thing.
What?
The world doesn't give a fuck what Floyd said, or what he tells you to say.
Bro, don't give a shit what you say either.
Inoue doesn't, his fans over there in Japan, they don't. What you think and what you say has no palpable effect.
You're just an easy target for a guy like me.
Stupid comments I can make videos about.
About stupid people.
So stupid, they don't actually know how fucking stupid they are, how stupid and ignorant they sound.
Arrogant enough to think they can gatekeep the entire sport of boxing and who's a star and who isn't.
Sorry, princess, but the world don't revolve around you. While you might think that nobody knows who Inoue is outside of Japan, as it turns out he's putting up monster numbers. Inoue is trending globally, not just in Japan.
You know, because there is a whole world out there outside of America.
Outside of your crummy neighborhood and your crummy apartment. Top-ranked president Todd Duboff strongly disagreed with Sean Porter's comments about Inoue having to come to America
To be an icon.
Inoue is not only possibly the greatest fighter he has seen, but that he's already an icon. I totally disagree with that. But that's his opinion, Duboff said of Porter's comments. Selfishly, I'd love to have Inoue in America. He's a phenom. I've said this. I think he's the best fighter I've seen in my 30 years. Complete fighter, because I like an aggressive style. Power in both hands, IQ, defense, offense. He does everything. But he's in a market that supports him so well, too. He doesn't need to go to America. For Manny Pacquiao, the Philippines is an under-resourced economy. Japan is a fully developed economy with big stadiums and media platforms.
It's not a third world country.
Shohei Ohtani had to go to the MLB because that was the fullest, most opportune place to play baseball, right?
Right.
Japan didn't have the most opportune place for him to grow as a baseball player. He had to go there. Inoue can name his place. He can do it in Japan, or he can do it in America, or we could go to Wembley Stadium in London to do it. For now, though, Inoue is on course to shatter more records in Japan, starting off against Neri this Monday at the Tokyo Dome. I think it's going to surpass Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas as the all-time biggest boxing event in the history of their country. Do both set of Inoue versus Neri. He's a phenom. Do we have to take him on the road away from home? He's a gift to the country, right?
A national treasure. And you wouldn't do that to an American who draws in America.
So why would you do it to him? Does he have to go on the road to appeal to other countries? It's a little narcissistic of us to say, in order to be a star, you need to come to America. It's kind of bullshit, right? I kind of wish we didn't look at that and we'd appreciate it.
Americans are too xenophobic and too narrow-minded, too linear to understand that there's money outside of America now, and America is no longer the only preeminent market for boxing.
If you think that, you're living in the past, my friend. You better wake up and smell a microchip.
Smell the Wi-Fi.
I think we all have visions. We see the black and white photos of the Beatles getting off the plane and they had to come to America to make it. The Rolling Stones coming to America to make it. And Levi Jeans do both added.
That was then. This is now.
I think it's a very shallow perspective in today's world. I don't think you have to be in America. I think the world has become so flat today that we're so connected. When Inoue fights, he trends globally on all platforms as the number one thing going on at that moment. He's resonating. We're able to transmit a signal live and everybody can see it. So I find it a little selfish to think he has to come to America to be a superstar. For our purposes, damn right. I'd love him in America. I want to bring that little gem as close to home as I can, but overall, it would be counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Why would you have him fighting at the Hard Rock Cafe in America when he can fill a stadium in Japan?
Like I've said in previous videos, in previous instances, years, and eras of boxing, you had fighters coming from all around the world here to America because this was the most preeminent market for boxing.
The biggest consumers of the sport were here in America. That is no longer the case. In many instances, there are domestic draws in the UK, in Asia, and Australia that can sell in their domestic markets better than they would somewhere else. So it would be counterintuitive to go against that. Moreover, that the criticism levied against Inoue is coming from those that contribute the least to the sport.
You don't fucking buy nothing?
You don't buy all these pay-per-views they saturate the market with. You're not subscribed to all these fucking platforms. Everything you watch, you steal.
And you're the one saying that Inoue has to come here. Why? So you can steal his fucking fight, you fucking bum?
Fucking bums.
Worry about getting yourself a better job that pays you better so you ain't gotta steal all the content you watch, you fucking parasites.